Title: The Mask That Wouldn't Come Off. They said the mask looked too real, the way the mouth sagged, the hollow eyes. I thought it was just good craftsmanship. But when I tried to take it off, I realized the skin underneath wasn't mine anymore. It started 2 days before Halloween. I was 17, broke, and desperate for a costume. My friends were throwing this massive house party, and I didn't want to be the only one showing up in something lame. There's this thrift shop a few blocks from my house, Harrison's Secondhand Treasures. It's been there forever, the kind of place that smells like dust and old fabric. I went there hoping to find something cheap. The aisles were narrow, lined with racks of faded jackets, cracked porcelain dolls, and chipped Halloween decor from decades past. I was about to give up when I saw it, hanging on a nail near the back of the store, a mask. It wasn't flashy or colorful, just unsettling. Pale skin tone, blank expression, and dark, sunken eyes. The mouth was slightly open, like it was caught mid-sigh. The edges were torn and stained, and the latex felt oddly soft, like real skin that had been warmed by someone's touch. A handwritten tag dangled from the strap. $5, one of a kind. I remember asking the old woman at the counter where it came from. She didn't look up, just said, "That thing's been here longer than me. Some things don't like to be thrown away." I laughed it off and paid. $5 for a creepy vintage mask? Perfect. Halloween night came fast. The party was already packed when I showed up, music blaring, fake cobwebs everywhere, strobe lights flashing. My mask got instant attention. People joked that it was too realistic. One girl said it looked like dead skin. Another guy asked where I'd found it. The strange thing was, after a while I couldn't feel it on my face anymore. Usually masks get hot and sweaty, you start itching under the edges, but this one, it just molded to me, cool, snug, almost like it was breathing with me. At some point I went to the bathroom to take it off. I remember tugging on the edge near my cheek, and it didn't move, not even a little. I figured maybe the strap was caught in my hair, but when I reached for the back, my fingers brushed skin, smooth, seamless skin. I stared at the mirror, tried again, pulled harder. The mask didn't budge. It felt like part of my face. My heart started racing. I dug my nails under the chin, scraping, but it just stretched, like pulling at your own skin. That's when I noticed something else. The eye holes had shrunk. I could barely see the edges of my own eyelids anymore. Someone knocked on the door. "You good, man?" I forced a laugh. "Yeah, just fixing something." But inside I was panicking. I splashed water on my face, hoping it'd loosen whatever glue or sweat was holding it down. Nothing. The water just rolled off like wax. When I looked back at the mirror, the mask had changed, subtly but unmistakably. The eyes didn't look hollow anymore, they looked tired, like mine. The mouth that had been slightly open before was now closed, and it was smiling. I left the party early, making excuses. My face felt tight the whole drive home, like my skin was being pulled in every direction. Every time I blinked, I could feel something stuck between my eyelids. When I got home, I ran straight to the bathroom mirror again and turned on every light. The skin around my eyes was red and raw, but not from irritation, from fusing. The latex had blended into it like melted wax. I clawed at it until blood ran down my cheeks, but it didn't separate. It didn't want to. I screamed for my mom, but by the time she burst in, the mask had gone still again. Smooth, pale, normal. She thought I was joking. I couldn't convince her otherwise. She said I was overtired, that maybe I'd had too much to drink. That night I barely slept. I could feel it pulsing faintly, like there was a heartbeat beneath the latex. Sometimes it felt like it was smiling wider, stretching under my skin when I wasn't looking. I called Harrison's the next morning. No one answered. I went there in person an hour later. The shop was closed, empty. The windows were dusty, the shelves bare. The sign out front said closed permanently. But when I pressed my face to the glass, I could still see a faint outline on the wall where the mask had hung. Just the shape of a head, darker than the rest of the wallpaper. It's been 3 years since then. I've tried everything, dermatologists, psychologists, even a surgeon who thought it was a rare skin graft disorder. Nothing works. I've stopped going out much. People stare too long. Some say it looks like makeup, others say it looks fake, like I'm wearing a mask. They're half right. Sometimes late at night I catch myself in the mirror, and the thing that looks back doesn't blink when I do. Its mouth twitches on its own, just barely, as if trying to speak. And when I sleep, I dream of that thrift shop, the rows of dead eyes, the smell of dust and skin, and that old woman's voice, whispering from somewhere behind the shelves. Some things don't like to be thrown away. Now, on Halloween nights, I hear faint knocks at my door. Always three, always slow. When I look through the peephole, no one's there. Just a brown paper bag on the porch. Inside, a mask, different face, same soft, warm skin, waiting for someone else to try it on.
The last time I saw my little brother, he was walking up a cracked sidewalk toward a house that shouldn't have existed, its porch light glowing like it had been waiting just for him. It happened 10 years ago on Halloween night. I was 16, my friend Josh was 17, and my little brother Evan had just turned 10. It was one of those perfect Halloween nights, cold enough for your breath to show, the air smelling like wet leaves and pumpkin guts. We'd been trick-or-treating for hours. Evan's pillowcase was nearly bursting with candy, but he still begged for one more house. We were back near our neighborhood, tired and ready to head home. Most porch lights were off by then, but there was one still shining faintly at the very end of the street. "That one," Evan said, pointing. "Just that one." I remember looking where he pointed. It was an old house, the kind that looks wrong even when it's still. 2 stories, flaking blue paint, a dead tree out front with a swing hanging limp from a single rope. I thought it was empty. Everyone in town did. Josh laughed. "Dude, that place, it's abandoned." Evan frowned. "Then why's the light on?" He was right. There was a light, soft, yellow, glowing from the porch, barely cutting through the fog that had started to creep in. "Fine," I sighed. "One house, then we're done." We parked halfway down the street. Evan jumped out, his little vampire cape fluttering behind him. Josh and I stayed in the car, heater on, radio low, joking about who'd get more chocolate from Evan's haul. We watched him walk down the cracked sidewalk, flashlight bobbing with each step. The house loomed taller the closer he got, its front windows black and hollow. He climbed the 3 wooden steps, knocked twice, and waited. No one came. He looked back at us, shrugged, and reached for the doorknob. I remember saying, "What's he doing?" But Josh just laughed. Then the door opened, not wide, just a few inches. Enough for warm orange light to spill across the porch. Evan hesitated, looked back one more time, and then stepped inside. The door shut behind him. We waited. A minute passed, then 2. I honked the horn. No response. "All right," I muttered, getting out. "This isn't funny." The fog had thickened. By the time I reached the porch, I couldn't see the car anymore. The air was colder too, wet and heavy, like the kind that clings to your lungs. I knocked. The door creaked open under my hand. The smell hit me first. Dust, rot, and something sweet, like old candy left in a hot car. Inside, the house was completely dark except for a faint flicker deeper in the hall. "Evan?" I called out. Nothing. My shoes crunched on broken glass as I stepped in. Wallpaper peeled from the walls. The floorboards groaned under my weight. I followed the faint light down the hall. It was coming from a cracked doorway at the end. "Evan, this isn't funny," I said again, louder this time. When I pushed the door open, the light vanished, like someone had blown out a candle. The room was empty except for a small wooden chair sitting in the center. On it was Evan's flashlight, still on, beam facing the ceiling. His candy bag lay tipped over beside it, spilling chocolate wrappers across the dusty floor. That's when I heard it. A faint creak from somewhere upstairs, then another. Slow, deliberate steps, like someone walking barefoot. I backed toward the front door, calling Evan's name over and over, my voice breaking each time. The air felt thick, buzzing almost, like static building inside my ears. Then, one last sound. From upstairs, a small voice. "Trick or treat." I froze. It was his voice, but it sounded wrong, stretched out, echoing, like someone playing a recording underwater. I bolted. Out the front door, down the steps, sprinting through the fog until the car came back into view. Josh was already outside, pale as a ghost. "Where's Evan?" he shouted. I don't know," I stammered. "He's not in there. We have to call someone." We did. The police searched the house, the woods, even the nearby storm drains. But there was no trace of him. The place was empty. No furniture, no electricity, no working lights. just dust and old floorboards. The only thing they found was his flashlight. For years, I tried to move on. I told myself it was a kidnapping, a runaway, anything but what I'd seen. But every Halloween around midnight, I drive past that same street. The house still stands, though it's boarded up now. No one ever bought it, no one dares. And every year, without fail, someone reports seeing a faint porch light flickering behind the boards. Last year, I finally stopped, parked across the street. I sat there for almost an hour, staring at that house, waiting for the light. When it came on, it wasn't yellow anymore. It was red. And through the boards, I saw movement. Just a shape, small, hunched, dragging something behind it. Before I could start the car, the porch light blinked once, then went dark. The next morning, I found something sitting on my doorstep. A small plastic pumpkin pail, half full of candy. And inside, right at the top, was a miniature chocolate bar, still wrapped. It had my brother's name written on it in black marker, the same way he labeled all his candy, so no one would take it. I don't know who or what lives in that house now. But every Halloween when I see porch lights flicker, I think about Evan walking up that cracked sidewalk into the glow of a house that shouldn't have been lit. And I wonder if this year, he'll finally find his way back home.
They said every neighborhood has its ghost. Ours just happened to walk on 2 feet every Halloween night, wearing a faded clown mask and never saying a word. I moved into the neighborhood in 2015, a quiet cul-de-sac in Maple Hollow, neat lawns, plastic skeletons, kids darting between porch lights with pillowcases full of candy. It was one of those neighborhoods where everyone waved, but no one really knew each other. The first Halloween I spent there, my neighbor Marlene mentioned him in passing. "You'll see him," she said, like it was no big deal. The clown, he walks through every year around midnight. Creepy, but harmless. Been doing it since before I moved in. I thought she was joking, until I saw him. It was close to midnight. The streets were quiet except for the crunch of leaves and the last few porch lights flickering off. I was sitting by the window with a drink, scrolling through my phone, when movement caught my eye. A man was walking slowly down the middle of the street. His costume wasn't flashy, just a tattered black and white clown outfit, the kind you'd find in an old thrift store. The mask was cracked down one side, the colors faded to yellowish gray. He carried nothing, no candy bag, no phone, just walked, head slightly tilted, as if he was listening for something. He never turned to look at the houses, never stopped, just drifted through the cul-de-sac, then disappeared around the corner. I remember thinking it was eerie, sure, but kind of charming in a weird local folklore sort of way. But the next year he came again, same mask, same exact outfit, same walk, and the next year after that. At first, people laughed about it. Kids dared each other to follow him. Teens took blurry videos for TikTok, but no one ever got close. He always vanished when he turned the corner onto Birch Lane. Some claimed he went into the woods. Others swore he just faded into the dark. Then, last year, everything changed. It was a cold Halloween night, colder than usual. You could see your breath under the streetlights. The kids had gone in hours ago, and I was putting away decorations when Marlene knocked on my door. She looked pale. "You got a minute?" she asked. I followed her to her living room, where she had her laptop open. "Look," she said, turning the screen toward me. It was an article from the local archives, dated 1982. "Missing. Local teen disappears on Halloween night." The grainy black and white photo showed a teenage boy, maybe 17 or 18, standing beside a pumpkin stand. He wore a clown costume, the same clown costume. I leaned in closer. The cracked mask, the stripes, even the shoes. It was identical. According to the article, his name was David Holt. He went missing after a Halloween party. No suspects, no body ever found, just gone. Marlene whispered, "He's been walking that same route every year since before I moved here. What if..." She stopped. "What if he never stopped looking for home?" I laughed it off at first. It sounded ridiculous. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing the faded fabric, the way the man's head tilted as he walked, like he was listening for someone calling his name. Around 11:45, I looked outside. He was there, walking the same slow, steady path down the middle of the street. This time, I didn't just watch. I grabbed my jacket, slipped out the front door, and followed him from a distance. My heart was pounding, but curiosity won over fear. The street was empty except for the sound of his shoes brushing the pavement. Shh, step, shh, step. When he reached the corner of Birch Lane, he paused for the first time. The air was unnaturally still. No wind, no crickets, nothing. Then he turned his head slightly. Even from 20 feet away, I could feel his gaze. The cracked mask faced me fully, one eye hole darker than the other. I froze. For a moment, I thought he was going to speak. The faintest noise came through the still air, a wet, rasping sound like someone trying to breathe through water. Then he raised his hand, slow, shaking, and pointed straight at me. My legs moved before my brain did. I ran all the way back to my porch, slammed the door, locked it, and stared through the peephole until he was gone. The next morning, I convinced myself it had been a prank. Someone heard the story, dressed up, tried to freak people out. That's what I told myself. But later that week, I found something strange in my mailbox. A single Polaroid, faded, curled at the edges. It showed my house, at night. My front window, the one I'd been looking out from every Halloween. And, in the reflection of the glass, the same clown mask, staring back. No one saw him this year, at least not yet. Some neighbors say the tradition finally ended, that whoever it was finally moved on. But every night since, when I pass that window, I feel the same chill crawl down my spine. Because sometimes, when the streetlights flicker just right, I swear I still see the outline of a man standing at the end of the cul-de-sac, tilted head, cracked mask, waiting for midnight to come again.